Hi there, I'm Pam Carr, and today's tutorial is to show you how to make the Happy Hippie sweater. And what you need for that is a 4-weight worsted weight. It's a medium worsted weight, and usually it'll have a 4 on the package for you. And you can use lots of different colors. You can even use up your stash. So I've got orange here, yellow, red. I do use turquoise in this, pink. I use a light blue, but hot pink is really good for your trim. I've got some white here. You can use Lion brand yarns. You can use Red Heart Super Saver. You can use Impeccable loops and threads. As long as it's a number 4 weight, or in the UK, usually it's called Aran. Okay, so if you're looking for the right weight, if you're in England or anywhere that doesn't use this worsted weight word, then it's Aran. And then we use 3 different hooks making this. We have an H hook, a K hook, which is a 10.5 millimeter, and we use an L hook, which is an 8 millimeter, and then we use an N, and sometimes N's are 10, and this was an N, and it's a 9. And it's up to you which one you choose, because either will work for this pattern, because the Happy Hippie sweater is an oversized pattern. So there's a lot of forgiveness in the sizing, okay? Now the pattern is free on my blog. I'll put a link below, and it's also available in my Etsy shop, the Happy Hippie sweater. So I'll put a link to both below. And you will see there that there's extra small up to 5X sizes there. What I'm making today in this video tutorial is a large, extra large, okay? I think it's an extra large, but you could probably get away with it for a large. And also, I just want you to realize that I made this video as I was creating the pattern. And you might see some differences because I think the original sleeves I made were too long, so I made sure that you made them the right length in the video here. So if you're following along with the pattern and you look and you see some things don't look quite matchy-matchy, it's because the video was created as the pattern was being created. Okay, I made it right in the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm just getting around to editing it now. So I hope you enjoy this video tutorial. I do have the written description for how to do the granny stripe stitch down below in the description as well. So please like and subscribe to my channel and click on the bell if you want updates as to when my patterns are coming out. Okay, I'm going to put some pictures of completed Happy Hippie sweaters in as well. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you very much for coming and watching my Happy Hippie video tutorial. So I'm going to make a slip knot, and we're going to start out, and we're going to make 46 stitches with the foundation single crochet. So we're going to chain 2, and in the second one from the hook, we're going to push the needle in, the hook in, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through the 1, and yarn over, pull it through the 2. Okay, then we're going to go into the next one, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through 1, yarn over, pull it through 2. And this is a way we're going to make 46 of these to create our single crochet foundation, because this is nice and stretchy, and you won't have a tight bottom to your sweater because we're working up for this sweater. So I'm going to leave you to work on your single crochet foundation stitch. Okay, so here we are at the end. We've got 46 stitches, and all we're going to do is single crochet. We'll chain 1, and we're going to single crochet into the top of each of these stitches as we go down this row of foundation single crochet. Okay, so we're just going to start in the first one here, and we're going to just single crochet into each of the stitches as we go down. So I'm going to carry on going down here, and I'll meet you at the end. So I'm just doing number 46 of my single crochet, and I'm going to fasten off this end and move on to the next color. So the colors that I have on my sweater, I'm just showing you, I've already finished the front, so we're working on the back right now. And the colors that I have at the beginning are the turquoise and the yellow, and two rows actually of each color of the cream. Okay, so we're going to pick up the turquoise first. Okay, so we have to attach the turquoise here, and I like to make a slip knot and put that into make sure I have the right part. Don't want to put it in the bottom, put it in the top. Okay, put it in there and pull it through. Now we're going to chain up 3, and this is going to be the first row. Each row of the granny stitch pattern is a bit different. So this one, we're going to start out by chaining 3 and then putting a double crochet into the same stitch. So it's creating 2 stitches in that first space. Then we're going to skip 1, 2 stitches, and we're going to double crochet 3 times into the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to skip 2, and we're going to chain 3 into the next one. This is how we make our pattern. Okay, so once again we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and we're going to do 3 double crochet all the way down, 3 double crochet into the next one, skip 2, 3 double crochet into the next one. You can see how it's looking, and that is the first row of the granny stripe pattern. Okay, so I will meet you down at the end when I've finished that. Now when you get to the last 3, you've done three double crochets into this one. You've got 1, 2, 3 stitches left. You're going to skip 2, and in that last stitch you're going to crochet 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Then we're going to chain 3, ready to turn. 1, 2, 3. So for this next row, which is row 2, because it keeps going 1, 2, alternating 1, 2, 1, 2. This we were not going to do 2 in the end. We're just going to leave that 1 there, and we're going to do 3 double crochets right in to this space, the first space that you come to. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to not have to worry about counting, because we're just going to be doing 3 double crochets into each of these chain spaces. Okay, well, they're not chain spaces, they're just the holes. 1, 2, 3. 1, we're not chaining 1 or anything in between, we're just doing double crochets all the way across. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to carry on along this row, going into every one of these spaces, doing 3 double crochets until we get to the end. Okay, I'll meet you back at the end. So we're coming up to the end here, so we'll do 3 in here, 2, 3, and then 3 into the last space, There we go. And then we have these, the chain one and the double crochet from the previous row. And so what we're going to be doing is we're just going to double crochet into the third chain up. 1, 2, third chain up here. Just going to do a double crochet into that stitch. And that's going to be the end of that row. Okay, now we're going to change colors. So we're going to cut this off and change colors. So I've joined on the yellow, which is my second color. I'm going to chain 3, and we are going to do the same thing that we did in the first row. We're going to do a double crochet into the same stitch as we chained. Okay, and then where there's here, because we're just starting fresh, we're going to actually skip over these 3 and do 3 double crochets right into there. And how you can check this is you can always go 2 here, 1 there, 2 here. The next row will have a 1, the 2 and the 1. So I might write the written out instructions for this granny stripe pattern down in the directions below. But what I want you to do is we're going to make 2 rows of yellow, and then we're going to do 2 rows of the white before we change over to the different type of pattern that we're going to be doing in this. So I'm going to let you go and do 2 rows of yellow and 2 rows of white, and I'll meet you at the end of that. Okay? So I finished the 2 rows of yellow and 2 rows of the white in the granny stripe. So now I'm going to join in this fuchsia color. So I've put a slip knot on there, and I'm just going to pull it through, chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and now I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to be doing a different stitch to the granny stripe here. I'm going to actually be doing just a row. Well, actually we're going to do 3 rows of triple stitches or treble stitches, depending on how you call it. So we're going into each of the stitches along here. So the first one, wrap it over twice into the stitch, yarn over and pull it up, yarn over and pull it through 2, yarn over and pull it through 2, yarn over and pull it through 2. So that's known as a triple or a treble. This is US terms as well. Put the yarn through, pull up a stitch, not a stitch, the loop, oh, through 2, through 2, through 2. Yarn over twice, go into the next stitch, pull it through, go 2, and 2, and 2. So we're going to carry on all the way across to the end of this row, chain 4, turn, and do 3 rows in that way. Okay, get to the end, chain 4, turn, treble stitches across, chain 4, turn, treble stitches across until 3 rows are done, and it will look like this. Okay, so it's starting to grow and look really like a happy hippie sweater. Okay, I'll see you when you finish. So this is where we're at with this side of the sweater. So the next thing we're going to do is the light blue. So I've just attached the light blue here and chained up 3, and now we're going to do a double crochet into the same stitch there. So we've got 2 in the end piece, and now we're going to be doing that first row pattern of skipping 2 and then doing 3 double crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so we're skipping 2 and we're going to do 3 double crochets into this next stitch. And then we're going to skip 2 and another group of 3 into the next stitch. And we're going to go all the way along, and we should end up with 14 of the 3 groups, of the groups of 3, and then a double at the end and a double at this other end. Okay, so carry on with that, and I'll meet you at the end. So I got to the end of the first row, and then this is our second row. This is just a review. This is the second row of the pattern. We've chained 3, and now we're going to a group of 3 double crochets into the very first space there. Between the 2, there's 2 there and there's 3 there, right? So we're going to do 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to go into the next space. And we're going to go all the way down like that. So can you remember that? The first row pattern starts out with chaining with a chain 3 and a double crochet into the same space, and then the next one you just chain up 3 and you don't do an extra one. I will definitely write it down below because it's a lot to try and remember. Okay. So I'm going to carry on down here until I get to the end, and then I'm going to change colors, and we will chain up 3 with a new color, double crochet into the same space, and carry along in the same old pattern, and I will see you at the end of the next color. That color after this light blue is going to be this bluey gray color. You can substitute a gray, or you can put any color in you want if you can't find this one. I think it's loops and threads, but I'm not really sure. I've got this one, which I think is Super Saver, so you can find something that's similar, a blue-gray type of yarn, if that's what you like, that color combo that I'm doing. Okay, thanks. So now we finished the 2 rows of light blue and the bluey-gray granny stripe. I'm just going to, I've chained 3 in the last stitch here. There was a cluster of 3 there. And then I did a double crochet, sorry, into that last row, and then I'm going to fasten it off. I'm just going to pull it through, and that's fastened off. Now we're going to turn it over for the next row, and this row is going to be bright yellow. I love bright yellow, and we're going to attach that. So I'm going to make a slip knot. And go into the top of that double crochet. Actually, let's do it this way. The top of the double crochet. Put the slip knot on, pull it through, and we're just going to chain 2 actually, because this row is all about double crochet. So into every stitch across the top here, we are just going to do a double crochet stitch. Just 1 row, just for a little bit of a impact. One row of double crochet, and I'll meet you at the end. So I've come to the end of the row, and there's this chain 3 there. And I'm just going to double crochet into the turning chain there. And this one I've counted, and there's 46 stitches, not including the turning chain on this end. Okay, so we're going to fasten off with the yellow, and we're going to turn it over, and we're attaching the turquoise that we used previously. And I'm going to go into the top here. First, attach my slip knot. And I'm going to chain 4 because we are going to be going back to the triple crochet that we did previously. So it's like this. It's going to look like this. We're going to do 2 rows of this triple or treble crochet. This is where you wrap the yarn over twice, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2 more, yarn over and go through 2 more. So we're going to go all the way across and we're going to do 2 rows of the triple crochet. Okay, it's starting to look really nice. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, so we finished the 2 rows of triple crochet, and now I'm going to move on to another set of granny stripe rows. So we're going to chain 3. I've joined in this hot pink, and we're going to do a double crochet into the same stitch that we did that into. All right, and then we're going to skip 2 and go to do 3 double crochets into the next stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to skip 2 and 3 double crochets into the next stitch, just like we did our previous granny stripe rows. Okay, 2 and 3, and carry on across. We're going to go across, and then we're going to come back just like we did for row 2 in the pattern, in the granny stripes pattern. When we get to the end, we have 2 double crochets in the end. So in actual fact, we had to do 3 rows. So this is the end of the first row with the 2 the double crochet and the chain, the 2 double crochets in the end there. Then we chained up 3 for the second row. We chained up 3, and then we did the group of 3 double crochets there in between this 2 and this 3 group. That was how we did the second row, right? We went all the way across. So you're probably there now at the end of the second row, but then what I had to do was go up and do a 3rd row. Okay, so the 3rd row starts once again, we chain 3 up and we double crochet into the same, and then we just 3 groups of double crochets into each space as we go across. So we're coming to the end of the 3rd row. I'm sorry, I misled you there, thinking it was just 2 rows, but when I looked at the front part of the top, I realized if we're going to match it up, it's actually 3 rows. I like to change things around so that it's not like this uniform 2, 2, 2 type of thing. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then we come to this part where we did our chain of 3 there. So we're just going to do 2 double crochets right into that space. Okay, and then finish it off there. Okay, so the next thing we're doing now is we're going to use this beautiful light lemony yellow, and we're going to do, here we are, this is what the other side looks like. We've got the single row of yellow, the 2 rows of triple, the 1, 2, 3 rows of granny, and now we're going to do 2 rows of the yellow triple. So I just want you to join in your yellow yarn, 2 rows of yellow triple, and then 2 rows of purple triple. Okay, so I'm going to let you go and do that. You don't need me to show you how to join in your yarn and finish off your yarn. So we're going to do the yellow 2 rows of triple and the purple 2 rows of triple, and then we're getting up near the end. We'll be changing back to the granny stripe. So I'll be back at the end of the purple. So now I have finished 2 rows of triple yellow and 2 rows of the triple purple. So it's starting to look really beautiful. This is the back. And the next thing that we have to do now is to do 2 rows of the granny stripe in the light blue, and 1 row in the turquoise, and 1 row in the red. Okay, So I'm going to let you go and do that next. That's granny stripes, 2 rows of light blue, 1 row of turquoise, and 1 row of red. I don't need to show that. We've done that a few times. You can always go back and check out how to do the granny stripe if you need to. And as I say, I'm writing down the pattern below so that you can follow the steps for that. And then we are pretty much just did a couple of double crochet rows at the end, but I'll catch up with you at the end of the granny stripes, okay? 2 rows of light blue, 1 row of turquoise, and 1 row of red, and then I'll catch up with you again, and we'll finish off the back. So here we are. I've done 2 rows of the granny stripe in the light blue, 1 row in the turquoise, and 1 row in the fuchsia. So now I'm going to add in the yellow, light yellow again, do 2 double crochet rows, and then 1 row of single crochet in the hot pink. So that's going to finish off this back section for us. So when I've done 2 rows of double crochet, and just a reminder to keep the 46 stitches across so that we're keeping the sides even. We always end up with 46 stitches and a turning chain. So yes, we're going to go on and do 2 of the nice light yellow double crochet rows and 1 row of single crochet, and then we'll be going to weave in all these ends. And then it's on to the sleeves. Hi, so I'm just going to start my sleeves now, and I start off as we usually do with a slip knot, and then I've got my K hook because we use 3 sizes of hooks in the sleeve. We go K, and then a third of the way up we go to an L, and then another third of the way up we go to the N hook. Okay, so I'm going to chain 36. So I'm going to leave you to chain 36 for the cuff of the sleeve, okay? And once we've chained our 36 chain of 36, we are going to go into the second one, the second chain, 1, 2, and we are going to single crochet, which is where you just put your hook through, wrap the yarn around, pull it through, wrap the yarn around, and pull it through the 2. In, wrap the yarn around, pull it through, wrap the yarn around, pull it through 2. So we're going to go down here doing single crochet all the way down. We should end up with 35 stitches. Okay, so we've done 36 single crochets along here. And now I'm going to join in my other color, and the reason we needed 35 stitches at the end is because it's always multiples of 3 plus 2, okay? So 3 11s are 33 plus 2 is 35. So I'm going to add in my blue, turquoise, and then the turquoise to here. And we're going to chain up 3. Pull it tight. And then I'll remind you what we did for the beginning of the granny stripes, okay? We have to make another double crochet into the same stitch there, and then we're going to skip 2 and do 3 double crochets into the next stitch. 2, 3. All right, then we're going to skip 2, and in this next one we're going to do 3 double crochets. We're going to go like that all the way down this row, skipping 2, 3 double crochets into the next one. And I'll meet you at the end to show you how we do row 2, just to remind you. So we've got to the last stitch here, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in there. 1, 2. And then what we do is we go up, we chain up 3, and then in between the 2 and the 3, that's where we're going to make our 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And then into the next one. 1, 1, 2, and 3. So all the way across like that. We're going to repeat those 2 rows. We're going to do a row of this row of the blue, then we're going to do a first row with the yellow, and then 2 more rows of white. So you will have, altogether we will have the beginning 2 rows of the turquoise, 1 row of the yellow, and then 2 rows of the white. So that's going to be our granny stripe pattern that I want you to go away and work on. And you can come back and check what the colors are if you need to stop and rewind it. And I will join you back when we're going to be bringing in the fuchsia. Okay? Thank you. Right, so here we are. I've got the 2 rows of turquoise, 1 row of yellow, and 2 rows of white in that granny stripe, the granny stitch stripe pattern. And now we're going to add, this is row 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going into row 7, and this is the row that we changed to the L, the 8mm L hook. Okay, so I'm going to attach that yarn, and we are going to go to do a treble crochet for 2 rows with this. So join that in, tight, turn it over, chain 4, we'll yarn over twice, and we go into, I think we'll go into the first chain here. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through 2, yarn over, pull it through 2, yarn over, pull it through 2. Okay, yarn over twice into the next stitch, yarn over, pull it through 2, through 2, through 2. So this is a treble. We're going to be working across the sleeve with this. The reason we're changing the size is because we want the sleeve to get wider as it goes up, because that's the nature of a sleeve. Okay, so we're going to do 2 rows of this fuchsia in a treble crochet, and then we're going to be changing back to the granny stripe for some light blue, but I'll see you when I finish this. So I've done 2 rows of the treble stitch here in the fuchsia, and I've just finished it up, and we're working with an L hook, because remember we changed over from the K to the L because this is giving us a wider sleeve as we go up. So next we're going to be adding in the light blue. Okay, so we're going to add some light blue to this, and we're going back, reverting to the granny stripe, and we're going to be doing 2 rows of the granny stripe. So we start out, we pull the yarn through. I like to give this a little tug just to tighten it all up. Right, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then I turn it. Okay, and then we're going to double crochet into the same stitch. And then we're going to skip 2, and we're going to 3 into this next stitch. And I realize that sometimes people, when they're doing granny squares and that, refer to doing the 3 double crochets as being a shell. Okay, so we could actually start to refer, instead of saying do 3 double crochets into that stitch, we're actually doing a 3 double crochet shell, a shell. Some shells have 5, some have 4, so this one has 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, then we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and do another shell into that stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now once we get across at the end of this row, in the last stitch that we get to, we are going to be putting 2 double crochets in right at the turning chain there. 3. So when we come to the end, we're doing a shell in between the 3 and the 2. And so I finished my third one here, so I'm just going to yarn over and do a chain, do a double crochet, sorry, into the top of that previous one. Now that's the end of that one, and we're going to add in our blue, this blue color, and we're going back to the triple. I've sort of swapped them around like this just to make it look really interesting in the sweater itself, right? So I'm making the sleeves to match. So this is exactly the way the first sleeve was created. And so if you want to use different colors to what I'm using, you're welcome to do that. If you want to use different rotations of the stitch patterns, just make a note of it and then you can duplicate it, okay? So I'm going to add in this blue and chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's what we need when we start our trebles. I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to sit down here just so that I can keep it more steady in front of the camera. And then we're going to start doing our wrapping it over twice into the first stitch, through 2, through 2, and through 2, and that is our trebles or triple stitches. Wrap it over twice into the next stitch, so we're going into each stitch across. We should end up with 35. Okay, now leave you to do that. We're just doing one row of these triples, and then we're going to join in the orange, and I think we're going to just do a double crochet row. Okay, so I will see you at the end of this treble row. So I finished the treble crochet row, and I've got 35 stitches when I come to the end. So now I'm going to cut this off and add in the orange. And this row is going to just be a double crochet row. Pretty soon we'll be getting to changing to the larger needle. Oh dear, I don't need to do that first. I need to put it through here, then put it through the slip knot, and then pull it through. And I like to pull this one tight. Okay, now we're going to chain up 2 or 3, whatever your preference is, just for double crochets. Except when it's a granny stripe, I just tend to go up 2. For the granny stripe, I go up 3 just because that's the way that pattern works out. Okay, so now we're going to double crochet into the next stitch and into every stitch across, just a double crochet. Yarn over once, pulling it through 2, through 2. Yarn over once, through the stitch, pull through 2, through 2. So we're going to double crochet all the way across, and then we're going to be changing to the turquoise and going back into the treble stitch. So maybe I could leave you to do that. I'm going to do the double crochet at the end of this row, change to the turquoise, and do a row of treble crochets, okay? And then I will meet you back for the next stage. So at the end of the treble crochet row in the turquoise, that's the end of row 13. You should be ending on 35 stitches as before. Always count so that we're keeping track of everything. And then we're going to be doing 2 rows of the granny stripe stitch in the pink, and that is going to take us up to the point where we're going to change hooks yet again, and we're going to go up to the end. So I'm going to start off with the pink here and pull it through, tighten that blue, and once again we turn it and we chain up 3 for the granny to start a granny stripe. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go into the same stitch with another double, then we're going to skip 2 and do a shell of 3 double crochets into the next. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to skip 2, another shell of 3 across until the end, where at the end we put 2 double crochets into the last stitch, chain 3, turn, and then we make a shell of 3 into the first space. Okay, so 2 rows of the pink granny stripe, and then we're going to come back and do a hook change and go to the yellow. Okay, so I'll see you later. Okay, so I finished the 2 rows of granny stripe in the pink, finishing with a 1 double crochet into the top of the 2, and now I'm going to change it to the light yellow. I'm changing my hook to an N hook, so get that ready and going. And then we're going to do, with the yellow, we're going to do 2 rows of treble crochet with the yellow, and then we're going to change to the purple and do 1 row of treble crochet. So now I finished the 2 rows of treble yellow and the 1 row of treble purple. I'm going to change over to red, carrying on with the N hook, and I'm going to do 2 rows, I think it's 2, no, it's actually 1, 2, 3 rows of red granny stripe and 3 rows of yellow granny stripe till we get to the last little section of pink. So changing over now to red for 3 rows of the granny stripe in red, and then 3 rows of the granny stripe in yellow, and I'll meet you back when we finish that to do the last little section of the sleeve, and then we're ready to start constructing our sweater. So now we're on to the final section of the sleeve. It's looking pretty amazing. All these colors and different stitches that we've done. So we are going to change over to the pink and do 3 rows of double crochet and then 1 row of single crochet to finish it off, because that's going to be the row that we're going to sew together when we're attaching it to the body. Okay, so I'm adding my pink in here, crochet, I got the little tail instead of the proper piece. Okay, so now I'm going to chain 2, and turn the bark and pull this down, get rid of that, and we're going to double crochet into the next stitch. Remember that at the end of this row we want 35. Try and keep it the same all the way across. So into the next one. So we're going to do 3 rows of double crochet and then 1 row of single crochet, and then bind it off, ready to move on to the construction. So I'll leave you with that. This is pretty exciting. We're going to be putting our sweater together pretty soon. Thank you. And so my second sleeve is all done. I finished it, and I wove in all the ends so there's no ends sticking out. So the next step is to put the pieces together, right sides together. Okay, so you have to lay out the sweater and put the right sides together. So what I did was I actually sewed up this side using a whip stitch. You can see it's just going over and over, and we're only going to be whip stitching up to the top of this pink with a 1, 2, 3, 4. I haven't done these strings I've put on here just to mark how far we're going to be sewing up this side. Okay, I always kind of stick a crochet hook in there like a pen. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to get my white and start to whip stitch up the side. So I've got this, it's an ivory kind of creamy color. It's hard when you've got all these colors, something is going to show through. So I thought I'll just go for the neutral. It matches the white stripe in there. And I'm going to start at this bottom. Try not to let it fall off the table here. And I'm going to start at the bottom, getting those two pieces together. I'm actually going to tie a knot. Don't normally do that, but I thought I will for this. Okay, and now I'm just going to start to whip stitch. I can actually whip stitch in the thread of yarn. So we want to make sure that we are matching our colors, and we can go in between the two stitches there, and in between two stitches on the other side. And this is just what a whip stitch is. I'm going to leave that and weave it in later, okay? So now we have this part, so I like to sort of hold them together like this, and then I go through the two there, through the two there. It's a bit difficult when you've got a slip stitch maybe that you're working into, but that's okay. And now you can see how we've got two there and two there on the other side. Okay, I'm sitting in a peculiar angle, but I'll hold it this way for you to see. So here you can see there's two there, and there's two stitches there. So I'm going through those. Here I'm just going through one. And here, go through one. You have to sort of use your judgment, because the treble crochets, it might be difficult to find too. So here we go up the grannies. So we're going into the yellow, so we got the first stitches of the yellow. Here, that's it. And then we move up the yellow. My grandson is playing his video game in the background here. We're all locked in with the coronavirus right now, so we work around one another. And then we go through here. Don't let it go too tight. We want to keep this nice and loose. And then the last bit of yellow. And then we move on up to the white. So you see how we're making sure that we are doing the colors by colors, so that when it's on, you can't really see where the seam has had to be put. It's exciting to be putting this together at last. So we are going to now move on to the fuchsia. Get the first stitches of the fuchsia. And I'm going to work my way up to the top of the hot pink. Okay, so I'll meet you back there. When I get up to the top of the pink where I'm finishing it off, I just like to weave in my yarn this way. I go kind of through back down where I just came up. And do some back. And then we can cut that off. Okay, so that's done. So we've got both sides now that have been sewn. Once the two sections, the sides are sewn up, we are then going to come in from the shoulder and we are going to sew them together to make the neck. Okay, so on this side, I'm going to be getting my needle and some pink. Some pink. And I'm going to sew along just into these stitches here up until I hit the 13th stitch, and this is to create like a boat neck top, a boat neck to your sweater. Okay, so I'm starting at the edge and I'm going to do it a couple of times, and then I'm going to be looking in and getting two there and two there and sewing across until I hit the 13th stitch. 2 and 2. I want to do one whip stitch into each stitch. So those two and those two, and the next one, those two and those two, and go right across until I hit 13 stitches. I did 13 stitches on the other side of the shoulder too. So we're making our shoulder. And this is one of the reasons that we did double crochets instead of trebles or granny stitches, just to make it a little bit more solid over the top of the shoulder. Okay. And yeah, once again, we don't want to do it too tightly where you're pulling it really tight, because then it'll just make it a weird shape over the shoulder. Okay. So here we go. Going to the next two. This yarn is just acting as a stitch marker. Okay, so that's the 13th, I think. Okay, and then we fasten it off. And go back, weave it under before you cut it off. Okay, so that's the shoulder finished. And now what we're going to do, I think, is turn it round so the right sides are out. And we are going to pick up the yarn at the bottom, and we are going to single crochet all the way around the armhole. Okay, so we're getting pretty close to being done. Okay, so as we're going around the armhole, what we're going to do is in each of the treble crochets, we are going to single crochet 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and here we have another treble crochet, so we do 3 in there. 1, 2, And here we have a treble. So we go 1, 2, and then in each of the doubles, I've run out of yarn here. In each of the doubles, we're going to do 2. So where the granny stripes are, each of these has a double crochet. So we're going to do 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. And then here we have more trebles. So we're going to be doing 3 and 3. So go all the way around the arm, single crocheting 3 single crochets wherever you have a treble stitch, and 2 wherever you have a double crochet stitch, until you get right back to the bottom of the armhole. And I'm doing 3 single crochets into each treble, 2 single crochets into each double, and then at the very top, of course, where you hit the trim, you would put 1 single crochet into each of the trim sections. So we're all the way back to the bottom of the armhole again, and we're just going to slip stitch in to join it up, and we're going to fasten it off. Okay, so now that is the right side. This is what it looks like on the right side. We've got our shoulder joint, and we've got our armhole here. And now what we have to do with this armhole is put the sleeve in. Okay, so what we've got here is right sides are facing, right? So right sides up, I mean, sorry. So we've got the right side up. So I have to wait a minute because I have to sew my sleeve together. I've got my sleeve, and what I'm going to do is put it together like this, folding it over with the right sides together, and we are going to start to sew up, matching all the colors as we go with a whip stitch, just like I did, showing up the sides. So now is the part where we're going to put it together. So I've turned my sweater inside out so it has right sides facing it. Now I'm going to take the sleeve and I'm going to turn that inside out because I've just finished sewing it up along all the seams, right? So I want to turn it so that the right side is out. And then I'm going to put it in, tuck it inside, find the edge where the seam is there. This seam part, the edge where the seam is going to match up with the bottom of the sleeve, and this part's going to go up to the top. So I have to put it inside the sweater. So I have the right side of the sleeve facing the right side of the sweater. Okay, so I'm just going to pull it through, and then I'm going to find where the 2 seams are matching here, put them together, and then this part is going to, so we're going to sew along, joining each of these stitches together as we go along, and I'm going to do it with a pink. I've got some pink here, so I'm just going to get the matching where the seams are. That's the under the arm and the bottom of the arm. I'm going to leave a bit of a thread there that we can tie in later. Do a couple in there. Okay. And then I'm going to, into the first double part, go into there. And this is also whip stitching. And then to the next one. Into the next one. And once again, you don't want to pull it really tight because you don't want it to be forcing the sleeve into an odd shape. Okay, so here's the next 2. I'm going in between the 2, and then in between the 2 of the next one. Okay, so carry on like that all the way around until you get to the bottom. Sewn in. It's not exactly one stitch to one stitch. You have to kind of figure it out as you go around. So what we have to do now is to turn the whole thing right side out, pull the sleeve out, and we have our sweater. And some of you might want to make it less of an opening here. I went in 13 stitches from the top, from the shoulder, the arm edge, but you might want to go in 15 if you don't want it to be so kind of off the shoulder or boat neck. You can go in and make it more of just a regular neck opening. But as you see, the sleeves are like a drop sleeve, and that's why I had a bit of a hard time figuring out how long to make them. I made them really long. If you want to make yours shorter, you can just put less rows here at the end and make it shorter. And just remember that all the way up the sleeve you go a third. I sort of indicated in my instructions, a third up you change to a largest needle, and then a third up you change to the largest needle end. Okay, so I'm going to go and put this on my mannequin and get a picture for you.